Whoa, been a while since I've come out with a video, and it's been a while since I've done the work on this truck. So I'll be honest, I don't remember all the details. So I'm just gonna kind of briefly go over this. I'll tell you right off the bat, this project was not that hard. As long as you do the research, you have all the parts, and you have the tools. There's nothing too special about this. You know, it's just turning wrenches, really. So. I will say, if you can get your hands on a parts vehicle, or a donor vehicle, excuse me, that is the only reason. That is the only way I would do this project again. Is if I had a donor vehicle. Trying to find every part on its own online or at a junkyard is frustrating. You have to have patience because it takes a while to find the stuff. I mean, it took me like 2.5 months to find a reasonably priced ECU, which, by the way, you don't have to do. Oh, anyway, let me get into this shit. I'm fucking not even talking about what's on camera. So here's my clutch pedal, and that mounts up actually fairly easy because from the factory on the firewall are poor. I don't know what you'd call them, but there are indentations on the firewall where the clutch pedal would have been put on at the factory had it been a manual truck. So it's really easy to mount that. And then as far as that goes, you're looking for a clutch with 2 switches, and you have to wire your switches into your transmission wiring harness. And that allows your truck to, 1, turn on, and 2, not throw an engine code. You can do this without swapping in a manual ECU, but the problem is that your fuel mapping is set up for an automatic transmission, and when you're shifting in a manual, the ECU and fuel mapping is kind of going, what the fuck, dude? What are we doing? You know, it doesn't like that. So the most night and day thing I did was go from an my normal ECU to a manual. It just made it smoothed everything out. So I highly recommend you do that. Don't try and just stick with your normal ECU, because trust me, you'll get more power and better fuel efficiency if you get a manual ECU. What the fuck else do we need to talk about here? So here's the underside. Basically, after we just, wiring I'm not going to get too much into, but if you ask in the comment section, I'll give you the links to everything that I found, or I'll put it in the description, whatever. What I just pointed to, that's your reverse switch. There's basically 3 things you have to wire in: the 2 from the clutch pedal, 2 wires from the clutch pedal, and then that reverse light. I'm just pointing to an exhaust mount that's slightly different for the automatic transmission, but you can make it work. You're just missing a bolt. 1 bolt was good enough for me. What you have to do, you have to get a new drive shaft. Think about it. The manual transmission for these trucks is shorter than the automatic. So your front drive shaft has to be shorter. So you have to get a manual transmission front drive shaft. No questions asked. You have to. But for the rear, you can get around it. You can get a rear drive shaft and spend the money and sell your old one, or you can do what I did, and you can put hey Sam. Or you can put a spacer, which is what I did, and I think I show it here. Before you comment and talk shit, that spacer held up just fine. If you think that these 3.4 liter V6, if you think they have enough torque to snap the bolts or snap through that aluminum, you're delusional. These motors last forever, but they are not. They're not torquey, they're not powerful, and I was basically, I went off-roading with this thing in 4 ripping it, absolutely ripping it, and that drive shaft and spacer held up completely fine. It was a $25 part that saved me from buying, a $150 drive shaft, or whatever. The other thing I had to do, I had to buy a manual transmission mount, because the manual transmission I bought didn't come with one. I actually got mine off carpart.com. I had it shipped to me for $220. No fucking kidding. $220 shipped to my door, and it had 120 hours on the clock. So that was pretty sweet. There's the master cylinder, and that mounts up to the clutch pedal. So that's really easy. Once you have the clutch pedal mounted, that happened. That's a no-brainer. and then you just buy some line there. What size is that? Damn it. I don't remember. It's just flexible line you buy from the auto parts store. And good night. Look how ugly that wiring is. I filmed all of this pretty shortly after I did it, so the wiring looks like crap. And so does that slave cylinder. It's all rusted to crap, but it is the original, and it came with the transmission, and it works. So I've thought, why change it out with a $30 part or $40 part when that works just fine? So yeah, I kept it. I don't know. I don't have too much else to say. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward procedure. Look at this. This was when I was dicking around with. I bought some valve covers off, I bought some cylinder heads that I planned on rebuilding, and I just basically disassembled them, and then, like I do with most things, I just kind of quit doing it. Anyway, getting off topic. This swap was fun. It probably took me 3 days to do, just because I was by myself and I didn't have a manual Oh yeah, listen. If you have a jack that can, a transmission jack, borrow one, rent one if you can. That makes a world of difference, because I actually, when I was trying to install it, I literally mounted a piece of plywood onto my jack and lazily strapped the transmission on there, and it actually fell off and rolled on my fucking leg, dude. I was limping for 2 weeks. Ugh. Anyway, comment with any questions. I'm not going to get too in-depth with any responses, I promise you that, but I will send you the links to everything you need to know. So, thanks for watching.